I'm going to say this respectfully. Shut the hell up. Just shut the hell up. You want to see Jalen Hurts in the passing game. You want to see him win against a team with his arm. You just got it. And the Eagles, they're on to bigger and better things. They have something to work for now, and it's all coming our way, and we are going to talk about all this. So let's get straight into it all.
A killer buried, but not dead.
Darren, we better turn around. Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
This video is sponsored by BetUS, so definitely go check out BetUS. This was a good defense by the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, this is an Eagles team, an Eagles offense that had over 400 yards of offense. The defense for the Eagles held the Steelers to 168 yards of offense. Okay, this is a Steelers team that our Steelers haven't beat the Eagles, I think, at home in since 1965 or something like that. Okay. Jalen Hurts today, 25 for 32, 290 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 45 rushing yards in this game. Okay. This is a game where the running game did not work. Saquon Barkley only had 19 carries for 65 yards. Okay. So it wasn't much. Okay. I thought the Steelers were all over him. He had a couple good runs, but he really didn't do too much. And there are going to be games like this. And the Eagles, they went to the passing game a little bit more in this game. Okay. When you see that Jalen Hurts is throwing for 32 times, you get a little nervous. But the Eagles didn't turn the ball over. Jalen Hurts didn't turn the ball over. All of this blown out proportion BS that happened this past week, okay, last week with obviously with the win to the Panthers, and every Eagles fan was panicking over the fact that, they just played down to the competition of a bad team. Okay, this is really the worst game they had post bye, and everybody thought the downfall was coming. But guess what? Of all the rumors and all of the bullshit crap that was going on this week that was out in the open, and obviously the passing game has got to get fixed. These first quarters have got to get fixed. And guess what? They came out swinging in the first quarter. They had a big pass to Calcaterra over the 50-yard line. Okay. They had some slants with AJ. They got Devontae Smith involved, like short passing game. Fantastic. That's what I wanted. Kind of get the rhythm with Jalen Hurts a little bit, okay? Because there was obviously 2 sequences in this game in the second to the third quarter where they, reverted back to their old ways. No checkdowns, nothing in the middle, wide open, and these routes, these long developing plays for 2 sequences were happening, and Hurts was holding on to the ball for too long. There were times where Hurts was holding on to the ball for 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds. That's great. Fast release. Obviously, Jalen Hurts is the second to worst quarterback, or highest quarterback in the league, I should say, that's holding on to the ball too long. I think we all know this. Okay, so I like the fact that they got AJ, they got Devontae Smith involved. AJ Brown, 8 for 110. Devontae Smith, 11 for 108 in this game, which is great. So can't really complain about it whatsoever. So I was very, very amazed at what was going on in this game. I think there was 2 really big turning points in this game for me. Okay, the number one turning point for me, I think, was that big fight that happened. Darnell Washington was pushing Slay, was blocking Slay pretty much all the way to the back of the end zone to where the first set of bleachers where the wall is back there, pushed him all the way back there after the whistle. Okay. And there's a video, if you didn't see it because it was a bad angle, but someone actually recorded from that crowd, and Slay took 2 shots at Darnell. He threw 2 punches at him afterwards, after Darnell Washington let him go. And then Quinyon Mitchell got in there and started to swing, and oh man, it was Quinyon Mitchell. I'm proud of that boy. I'm proud of him. That was just like, that's the difference I saw from last year to this year with this team. The fight that they have, sense of urgency, they care, they stick up for each other. That's something we didn't have last year. Mentally, we were broken. We couldn't fight off adversity. We were just a mess last season. So I thought that was a nice turning point. I think another turning point in this game was the Najee Harris fumble, and Slay got that one, and hopefully, we turned that. We went downfield after that, so that was really good as well. It was much needed for this team. I think both teams made some mistakes. Obviously, the Eagles had two quick turnovers, which really sucked. Jalen Hurts obviously had the fumble. T.J. Watt, just punched it right out. And then when we punted the football, obviously when we got the punt return next, Cooper DeJean then fumbled the ball on a punt return. DeJean is learning the hard way, okay? Like obviously against Adam Thielen, against the Panthers, didn't have a great game. And on special teams now on fumbling that ball. Britton Covey was obviously inactive for this game. So, I think DeJean is just learning that he needs to protect himself. He took two big shots in that game, that fumble that he had, and then he went to the sideline, stayed in bounds, and somebody hit him pretty hard out of bounds. So he's got to protect himself. He's got to stay with this unit. But obviously, coming out swinging that first quarter, the Eagles scored 10. The Eagles scored 10 points in that first quarter, which is great. Okay, now you're up to 26 points in the first quarter, which is awesome. You don't have 17 anymore. So, glad that they had a fast start. And like I said, other than the couple of bad sequences that they had where they reverted back to Hurts hold on to the ball, long, these long route combinations and these long just developing plays. And I'm just like, Jesus. I mean, it was just kind of crazy. There were some third and longs, third and 16, third and 20, big throw by Jalen Hurts to Devontae Smith. Hurts was throwing like great. Okay. I don't understand why they don't do this every week. I felt like they only did this week just because, like, I guess they really want to prove that they can do what they can do. But why don't they just do it? Why do they have to put us through weeks and weeks of these really bad first halves to these first quarters? Okay, I think Nick was bullshitting in that press conference after the game. Oh, well, no, that's what the Steelers. The Steelers. We didn't pass because we want to prove to everybody. We passed because that's what the Steelers gave us. I'm like, yeah, sure, buddy. If I could sense a lie that big, it definitely was a big lie in this game. I think. Let me tell you, Saquon Barkley wasn't getting much in this game. When they run him to the outside, it was stopped. When they run him up in the middle, inside zone, it was stopped. I mean, they tried some play. I mean, they just couldn't get anything done with Saquon. It just wasn't enough. So I think he could still break the record since at the end of the season, you're not really facing any really big opponents, especially so you're still chasing after that first seed, which we'll talk about later in this video. So I thought that was pretty good. Kenneth Gainwell, my God. I have to say, out of the few years Kenneth Gainwell has been a Philadelphia Eagle, this game was probably my favorite from him because Kellen Moore did different things with him that I never really have seen him in the past. I think athletically, this was the most athletically entertaining game I've seen Gainwell play in. Okay, every time he got the ball in his hands, he got that ball to the 1 yard line on the check down. I mean, he was running with fire in his eyes, ice in his veins. He was unstoppable. And remember that little crosser he had on that pass? Like, we were close to, scoring a touchdown, and Hurts has an empty back set. I'm getting nervous as usual because I'm like, damn, like there's no safety blanket, there's no check down, there's no nothing. And Kenneth Gainwell goes out for some big pass, and then I'm like, yes, I feel so good about it. He looked fluid. He looked like a dual threat running back. It's so weird how that game, this was his best game of how he looked athletically and just, that check down that Hurts had, and he spun around one guy. I know that Kenneth Gainwell, his vision will take him far because he has really good vision. If he has a one-on-one in open space, he wins that 9 out of 10 times. Deontay, I forgot that number 2 corner there, spun against him and got the first down, which was fantastic. So Kenny G was just, if Saquon Barkley's having a rough day, Kenny G goes in there. I know they still use Kenny G for that 2-minute offense. They're always going to use him for 2-minute offense. I still don't know why. I still don't know what they're getting out of Kenneth Gainwell on 2-minute offense. I don't. When it's a really big moment, obviously you want to score right before the Eagles get the ball the second half. Yeah, like I said, they went into that second half, and then there were some sequences that just didn't look fantastic. So offensively, like I said, I mean, the Eagles chewed up a lot of clock. Look, the Steelers had literally 2 possessions in the second half. 2 possessions. That's it. I think it was like 3 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes. It wasn't even much. It wasn't much. It's hard to believe that. But the third quarter, because of the penalties and obviously that whole entire going upfield, that entire third quarter, the Eagles chewed up all that clock. And then obviously the fourth quarter, where they pretty much were on. They were pretty much into their own end zone. They worked their way up, to kind of chew that whole entire clock out, which was absolutely fantastic. The Eagles, unfortunately, the Eagles gave some short field advantage. Couldn't get anything done on a couple of things. Obviously the fumble, gave them points. The Jalen Hurts fumble, and then obviously the Braden Mann punt for 30 yards from our own end zone almost. It was a 30-yard. It was a really bad punt by Braden Mann. He's been punting really good the last couple weeks. 30-yard punt, the ball got kicked to like the Eagles 40, 45, so they had short field advantage there. Some BS penalties. The Justin Fields late hit was a bunch of BS. I mean, just total BS, man. I mean, God, he just slid so late on that play, really pissed me off. But the hip drop tackle on AJ Brown, the NFL incorporated this hip tackle penalty, and they don't even call it. And AJ Brown almost got hurt. And obviously, there were some injuries going on too. The offensive line, I thought they did pretty good job. TJ Watt and Lane Johnson were going back and forth a little bit, which was pretty good. So I was really happy about that. TJ Watt had a couple sacks on Jalen Hurts. There was one where Lane Johnson went off sides, and then he gave up a big sack, an easy sack for TJ Watt. So it's two all pros going against each other. So we know that was really the big moment there. But Lane Johnson went out, came back in. Mekhi Becton went out, came back in. Landon Dickerson went out and stayed out. Tyler Steen went in there at left guard. Fred Johnson went in for Lane Johnson for a little for a little bit. So we had some injuries. Saquon Barkley seemed to have got had a concussion or got hit on obviously that Minka Fitzpatrick hit where he kind of fell on his head, and then he was kind of weird the rest of the game. Then he was working on his hips, and I don't know if he was hurt. Guys started to go down a lot more. This was a heavyweight matchup, man. It was both defenses were it was a heavyweight matchup going back and forth. It was a physical game, and I give a lot of credit to the Steelers, and it was a very entertaining game at that. So offensively, I mean, Jalen Hurts was slinging the ball around. I mean, see, if he can do it, why don't they just do this? Like, why did the Eagles have to prove they could pass, where they could, like, why is this the week where there's issues and all this drama in the passing game, and they literally force the passing game and do a fantastic job? You know what I mean? Like, why do they have to force it? Like, why can't this be every single game? Just makes no sense to me why. Like, I know they could do it. I know they could have done this the whole season, but what is the excuse to play in these first quarters 17 points until this point in this Steelers game to play like the way you've been doing and playing from behind? Like, I hate playing from behind. I can't stand it, man. When you get into the playoffs and when you're doing things like this, you really can't look like this. Especially, you have a home playoff game. You want to have, you want this, you want to take the crowd to your advantage as well. So I think that's pretty good. Um, so the defense, yeah, held the Steelers' offense to 168 yards. Defensive line had 2 sacks on the day. Josh Sweat. Nolan Smith had another sack. He looked really good. His bend was really good. He was very disruptive. Okay, I thought they all did pretty well. I think as a collective group, I thought that rush was really nice. Didn't really create any big running lanes. The passing game, obviously, no George Pickens in this game. Okay, so didn't create any big lanes for the pass. Really big lanes for the for Russell Wilson to run. The Eagles finally beat Russell Wilson finally, but he was a statue in that pocket. The Eagles were collapsing the pocket. They were getting in his face. There was tip balls. I mean, they did a fantastic job. Najee Harris, I don't even know how many yards he had, but it was like am I guessing right that it was like 14 yards? It wasn't much. After that fumble, they took him out of the game and they put in another running back. I was more afraid of their second running back than Najee Harris. Najee Harris is slow as pancake syrup. I mean, the viscosity, he can't even run. I mean, it was just, he didn't look good at all. I already knew we could stop him. You know what I mean? So I didn't think he had a great game. I thought they did a good job on him. Russell Wilson couldn't really go anywhere. And then obviously that second half, he started to get a little bit of rhythm. He started to throw everything underneath a little bit, more quick passes, more runs with the second running back. So they started to get a little bit of momentum. But obviously, when they just started to do that, they fumbled with Najee Harris, and then everything kind of fell apart for them after that. The Eagles' defense was all over it. I thought Jaylen Carter was really disruptive. The play, the field goal. Okay, we were. I don't know if it was a punt. It was a field goal. I think we were. I think the Steelers were kicking a field goal. Whatever. And it looked like there was a penalty on the Eagles defensively, and Jaylen Carter obviously, he gets a penalty. He slaps a guy in the face and punches him and throws him out of the way. I was like, Jesus, dude, this guy is a menace, dude. What I like about Jaylen Carter so much is that he can get into a lot of guys' heads. Like, he just can get under somebody's skin so easily, and I like that type of player. Where Fletcher Cox wasn't like the big time talker in a game. He was more like, he'll talk shit when, you start to give him shit, but he was more of a I'll lead by example type of guy. But Jaylen Carter, man, that guy likes to jab. He likes to, I mean, if he feels like he's getting he's getting held, he's getting dirtied by a lot of these offensive players, man, he pisses everybody off. But that play, he gets a penalty, which backed us up to the 1 yard line pretty much, kind of really, it actually worked out for the better because we had all that field to work at the end of the game, and then we chewed up a lot of clock and won the game that way. But it was a boneheaded penalty. I think he deserved a little bit of an earful. So there was a clip of Nick Sirianni going up to Jaylen Carter, and Clint Hurt, the defensive line coach, was standing in front of Nick, was like, calm. I don't know what he was saying, but pretty much like, let me handle him. I got him. Clint Hurt knows his own guys. Clint Hurt is the only one that he practices with them every day. He's with them up front every single day. Let Clint Hurt take care of it. It's his guy. I get it. He's the positional coach. I wouldn't mess with Clint Hurt anyway, so Nick better back down a little bit. Okay? So I understand why Nick went over there to try to give him an earful, but there was a picture that came out later on in game on the sideline where Nick and Nick Sirianni and Jaylen Carter are actually hugging it out on the sideline. So everything was fine. Okay, it's a heated moment. I don't know why Nick explodes on his players like this. I get it, but let the positional coach take care of it. Big Dom was there. So that's just who Jaylen Carter is. We're just going to have to deal with just him. You're hoping he doesn't do anything really stupid in the playoffs and costing us a lot of yards, backing us up to the end zone. Not my most favorite place to be at. But I thought he was fine. I thought the defensive line was great. I mean, look, you didn't have a lot of sack numbers, but being disruptive and obviously good coverage by that secondary, Nakobe Dean. And I thought Zach Bond had some good tackles. I think Zach Bond had 5 tackles in the game. I thought the Calvin Austin, man, I guess there was a backwards flea flicker, whatever it was, where the running back pitched it back to Russell Wilson, threw it to Calvin Austin downfield to really get that big knockout punch of yards just because they were down. They had to get deep. They were down a couple scores. They had to try to be down by 1 score, and, unfortunately they got that. Like I said, I would say a bad kick, a bad punt, and really a bad penalty. A bad punt and a really crappy penalty from the late hit on Justin Fields by Reed Blankenship. They didn't really earn those yards at all in the game. But like I said, Zach Bond was all over it, and there was a couple times where he would hold on to a guy's leg and try to get him down to the ground, and the rest of the team kind of cleaned it up. I thought Chauncey played great. I thought the corners played really good. I thought Slay had a pretty good game. He had a little bit of an injury during the game, came out, and it's so weird because in dime package, Avonte Maddox never came in on dime package. Now Isaiah Rodgers is coming in on dime package now. So now they're starting to figure out, like, yep, Maddox ain't a good player, and he's a big liability every time he hits the field because obviously he's either if he's not getting targeted, he's committing a penalty, and sometimes he's literally just blowing a block. Sorry, not even defending the right guy at times. So they didn't use Devontae Maddox on dime package, which was really interesting. So that's nice to see. Um, oh man, I mean Jake Elliott, I thought was good. I mean, we still need to see Jake Elliott. He can't be like this every week. He's been like this since the Rams game, Rams, Ravens, and then Panthers, and going back up again. We need to see him more consistent the rest of the year. We'll see what happens there. I thought Sirianni did a really good job this week on really usually when issues happen like this with all this crap that happened after the Panthers game. The media is the worst. And it really showed that he really kept this team together this week and really kept their, focus. I thought Hurts did a good job keeping the guys focused. And I love the scoring touchdown with A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts. And they're just dancing. They're kicking feet and they're dancing. And it's the greatest thing to see. You know what I mean? Like Jalen Hurts in the post game press conference, like, oh, so, did you need to, did you want to see that or whatever he said at the post game press conference, which was great, like saying a big F you to the media for all the crap that they were saying all week. And that's just what it is. So I have to respect Nick Sirianni for what he did this past week with I think he's learned a lot being here when things are going down, when it just happens. So thought there was a good job there. Now, obviously, winning this game was a big one for the Eagles. So you're down to winning the division. Okay. Washington did not lose this week. Okay. So they won their game. The Eagles play them next week. They win against the Washington Commanders. They win the division. And then, really, after that, it comes down to the first seed. Now the Lions did lose 42-48 against the Buffalo Bills. Okay, now it looks like the Lions lost a corner to I don't know to the season, but they lost a corner to injury. They lost a DT with a foot injury for the rest of the year. They have like 16, 17 players on IR right now. Looks really bad. Um, so you're really waiting for the Lions to stumble one more time. The Eagles got to beat Washington because look, if the Eagles lose one of these games down the road, then they're guaranteed. Like if they beat Washington, they're going to win the division and they're guaranteed a spot in the second seed. Okay, so they're going to have a home game. They will have a home game. And then they'll have to go to Detroit if they have to. Okay. So that's going to be really interesting going down the line the rest of the season, where Saquon Barkley will have a bigger chance to, break the record, and they'll have a bigger chance to do a lot more things. So the Lions defense, the Bills defense, I mean, they're giving up so many yards. They look horrible defensively. I don't think they match up well with the Eagles at all. I mean, offensively, the Lions can score some points. They can run an offense, I'll tell you that. But when it comes to that defense, they can't do nothing, okay? Because if we could score on that offense every single drive, defensively, they're never going to answer. That offense is going to have to answer back every single time. So I feel like it looks better and better. I mean, it's a lot of injuries, and they're losing more guys by every game that they play. So you're hoping that the Lions will stumble one more time, whether it's against, maybe the Bears keep it close, like they almost choked in that, they choked in that Thanksgiving game, unfortunately. The Vikings down the road is another game, and they're another team that's on the heels of the Lions as of right now. So we'll see what happens. So, nothing's promising, but this is a nice start. We were hoping that one of Green Bay or the Bills was going to beat the Lions. So, first seed is definitely intact, right on the heels of the Detroit Lions for that first seed. And getting that first round bye would help out so much. Take the Lions out of that dome, play them in some cold weather, make them uncomfortable not being at home, and Eagles takeover, man, at home. I mean, it's not a takeover. It's going to be an automatic takeover because no Lions fans are going to be at that game. Barely that. You know what I mean? So I think Jalen Hurts was unstoppable. I think he proved himself to the league, to his teammates, to just everybody. Like, we could do this. But why don't they do this every week? You know what I mean? Like I said, you're going to have a game where the defense doesn't play well. You're going to have a game where the defense can't get you out of situations. You're not going to have a game, okay, where, sometimes your running back, sometimes Saquon Barkley isn't going to have the biggest game. But, Gainwell comes in on a few plays, does some good things. So, sometimes it's not going to work because I thought they did a really good job there. Okay. We had some stupid penalties, but it is what it is. They have to clean that up. It's always something they can clean up. It's very fixable. But Jalen Hurts beat one of the best defenses in the league with his arm. He beat this team with his arm. I'm proud. I am proud. And I told people to calm the hell down last week. Calm the hell down because there's nothing to worry about, man. The Eagles played down to the competition against the Browns. They played down to the competition against the Jaguars when they were up 14-0, and they totally just, Nick got too involved in both of those games. I don't know. It just seems like when it's a team that they know they could just totally beat with one hand, they decide they have to fight with five hands. Like I don't get it, dude. I don't get it. But people were just off the rails last week. So I hope everyone feels really better. You had two receivers over 100 yards. You almost had your running back over 100 yards. And he, he looked really good. He took his he scanned the field really well. He took his shots when he took his shots. I saw with even the cornerbacks, and I saw with the 1 and 2 cornerback, Joey Porter Jr., he started moving towards A.J. Brown when he was beating their number 2 guy. So they switched corners later in the game. But I thought the Eagles did really well. The Eagles had massive time of possession in the second half. I mean, 2 possessions for the Steelers, that's just, you're not going to win football that way. And they did a really good job there. So I think we should all be very proud of what this team has done this year. Really have. They just need to continue this. And I don't want this to be a one passing offensive game fluke because they were forced to do it to prove to the world, to prove to the fans, to prove to the media that, we could throw, and I'm not mad at A.J. Brown. Look what we could do in this week. You know what I mean? I don't want this to be a 1 week thing. That's really the only thing that I'm not really worrying about. But like Hurts says, like, no one says that we can't do it. It's like, then do it. Just do it then. Like, what's the big deal? So I feel really good. I hope you guys feel really good. I hope you guys, like I said, like I can't even nitpick this stuff. This was a good football team. I mean, defensively, I have to give the Steelers credit. They played tough. They get multiple helmets to the football, and Barkley couldn't even get a breakaway in this game. He had a couple good runs, but it just wasn't enough. But you have 2 number 1 receivers like that, and Calcaterra had a couple catches, nothing much. He didn't really do too much in this game, so. And no wide receiver 3s got the ball this game. You wanted Jahan Dotson to get the ball, didn't happen. They tried throwing one to Johnny Wilson on a really bad pass when he had pressure in his face, and that didn't happen. So they really didn't get anyone else involved between those two, and that was pretty much it. So let me know in the comments section what you guys thought about with this game. And be real and let me know how you thought and what was your favorite part to this game. And, do you feel like the Eagles are back on track? Do you think that if you're one of those people that was overdoing it last week, I understand, I get it. But like I said, post bye week, you had one bad game. And because it was bad against a statistical team that was relatively playing well the last couple weeks, okay, it just happens. These happen. Every top team in the NFL, every team that is very good right now has almost choked in games and has almost lost to teams they should definitely have triple to quadruple scoring leads. It just happens. So it seems like every time the bye week has changed the Philadelphia Eagles, it changed this team. And I think for the passing game now, because of the BS that happened and everything was kind of out there, Brandon Graham put it out there. And I think putting it out there at least made it fix the problem a lot faster. I think it'll always be talked about, but at least putting the problem out there full front, right in front of our faces, they can literally attack this problem head on. Whether it's the passing game, it's the Jalen Hurts versus A.J. Brown, blah, 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 all this crap. it fixed it a lot better having a game like this. So, yeah, just let me know what you guys think, guys. I really do appreciate it. And make sure you subscribe to the channel for more Eagles news every single day. Make sure you like the video because it helps out the channel tremendously. Appreciate everybody showing up for the live play-by-play. If you didn't, definitely rewatch it. We'll have reactions, all that stuff up real later, real soon. And I'm happy camper. I'm a happy camper right now. So, I will see you guys during the week. You guys have a fantastic day. I'll see you guys on the next one. Shakes what up. Flagels fly. Peace out, guys. Peace.